This is the Art Beauty Podcast where we are always reaching for truth in beauty. Remember, the brands on here are not paying to be here, so we get to ask questions that you want answered because you deserve to be informed so you can make the best choices for yourself. With that said, I'm Amber, and today my fabulous co-host is Lekha Vyas. She's the founder of ELVY Labs, and boy, does she have a history in beauty that we are all going to be talking about. From Chanel to JLo Beauty, Estee Lauder, the list goes on. I am so honored to have her on today. So let's kick it off by welcoming you to the show, Lekha. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Amber. It's so good to chat with you and be here. And hi, audience. Thank you for having me. Today, obviously, we'll talk about a little bit of myself, what my company is about, and I think there'll be a lot of educational topics, and I'll give you some beauty hacks and some inside scoop from the beauty industry. So people don't talk about that, but I always try to educate my friends and my family about that. So yeah, let's get the ball rolling.
I absolutely love that. So, like I said before, you have an incredible history in beauty. You have built a career. Can you give us a little bit of your background? Because I think it's really, really fascinating.
Yeah. So, I started my career in Procter & Gamble, which is, a lot of people would think of it as like detergent, Tide, Bounty, whatever. So I did actually start my career in laundry.
Oh, love that. Okay.
Some people don't know, but P&G is a family company. They own all the consumer brands, like from food, coffee, laundry, to even they used to have beauty back in the day. They used to have Olay. So that was one of their big.
Because I was going to say P&G does have a wide variety of brands. Yeah.
Yeah. Later, obviously, like when I left, they had sold that division, but that's where I got my first taste of beauty and consumer products. So that I built a really good foundation. At one point, I was like, all right, you know what? I love P&G. Ohio's not cutting it. I want to go to New York, move to a big city, and kind of do something that I can kind of relate to with the products. So that's when I moved to L'Oreal. And L'Oreal, a lot of people also don't know, between L'Oreal and Estee Lauder, I think they own about 80% of all the beauty brands. So yeah.
And I mean, okay, so the L'Oreal, I was only in the L'Oreal offices a few times, but like for people who haven't, isn't it just, it's like Barbie's dream house elevated.
Oh my God, it's amazing. I think that was, looking back, was my favorite career experience. I think it just picked me up, taught me how to live in New York City, taught me everything I know today about beauty. So just for reference, and I think that it will connect the dots of why I am here and how I got here, was because L'Oreal owns everything from Armani Beauty, Ralph Lauren, Kiehl's, SkinCeuticals, Redken. I'm like, I can't even think of all the brands top of my head right now, but they own anything from like Olive Beauty, body, hair, to makeup, fragrances, all of it. So that's when I was like, wow, beauty is just not like moisturizers, it's everything. And then I got to work at Chanel after being at L'Oreal for a few years, which was obviously every girl's dream. And Chanel was a great experience, but of course it's high-end beauty. Their products are curated slightly differently than how L'Oreal and Estee Lauders of the world do, but very similar as well. And then I moved to Estee Lauder. So I was mostly on color cosmetics, bought companies with them, expanded them, scaled them. That was also a very, very fun experience. And then most recently, from a corporate standpoint, I was at kind of like a family fund. So they build celebrity beauty brands in-house. And I was, part of Cindy Crawford's line. I built JLo Beauty from scratch, Ellen DeGeneres. So it touched a lot of companies, about 8 to 15 brands I had at one point. So, the job was to just scale them, build them from scratch. And then I was like, all right, you know what? I love this. Love working with celebs. It's great. But I think I've learned a lot and it's time to do something of my own. So I was just.
Wait, before you get into that, because you are plowing through this and I've got so many questions for you. Okay. So, you talk about the differences. Let's go back to your time at Chanel. How did that differ from working at L'Oreal?
Yeah. So Chanel, I think from like a outsider standpoint, which I also had the vision of like, oh my God, it's going to be such a high fashion runway, models, like all of that. It's a little bit different because Chanel's offices, their head offices in France, they kind of control all. The fashion house kind of decides everything from fashion to beauty. It all has to kind of marry up. So to me, it wasn't like a glamorous experience. It was super different, fun. It's like, they have very scheduled kind of launches planned ahead of the time, which also it's kind of decided by France. They have the final say. L'Oreal, on the contrary, they have kind of like decision-making power in the US. It's one of the largest markets globally. So those things kind of vary. When you have the decision-making power in-house in your current geography, you tend to like touch a lot more than, you know, Chanel, which is fantastic, but it's also very high-end, very controlled by the fashion house, and it's a private company. So those things actually really differ in experience, and, you know, how much you can touch and how much you can expand and experiment also differs. So from like how much you can absorb with an experience standpoint, it's very different.
Now, listen, I got to ask you, because I'm sure every person listening is like, let's talk about some of those perks of Chanel. I mean, did you have access? Did you have access to discounts on the bags?
Yeah, they were, I mean, you know, it's like every girl that wants to work at Chanel, the perks are phenomenal. I have collected so many bags and shoes and beauty products. I still haven't, I think, repurchased my Chanel makeup since, because I've collected so much. So I'll drop the number. You get about, so as an employee, you can get anywhere from 60 to 75% off, but you only have 2 sales a year. So, you know, you can try to, you know, get your hands on the goods. So it's kind of like everybody just rushes into the sale. There's a line. You have a schedule of when you are scheduled to go based on your last name or whatever, the ranking system. People just rush in and they just pray and hope that by the time I get in, there's inventory left. But even if a bag has been like 5 seasons old, I'm still going to buy it at the price point.
For sure. I mean, you know, Chanel is something that appreciates. Is it 30% twice a year? Don't they go up, or is it 30% once a year, the bag?
Twice a year. I think they increased it. I think over the COVID years, they kind of limited it. So the way luxury works, and I think this is the same model that Louis Vuitton followed as well. Hermes, I mean, they're still doing that. So what happened at one point, it was becoming more and more accessible, right? With social media, like now people are dropping sales. Like this is what's happening in the Paris store. Like it's so connected and people have access now. So what happened was that people were getting access to these bags that were becoming very generic in music videos. And then the influencers, they all carry a bag that's, you know, Chanel classic, vintage, boy, whatever. So at some point, the glamour of a luxury prestige product was kind of going down, right? So and the prices were kind of affordable because people were putting their entire paychecks into getting these bags. So what brands do typically, they do price increases to make the brand kind of like untouchable, unaffordable. So still have that piece of like, oh my God, scarcity. Wow, I want it because nobody has it. So that works really well in luxury. So price increases help with that. Then they also curb the amount of products or bags that they created every year. So if it's limited distribution, you get X amount of bags in one store. When it's out, it's out. Then you have to go find a reseller. So
I mean, I remember I was getting the black caviar wallet on a chain that is like the quilted. It was impossible to find. I found it in a store that had called me from Florida. They shipped it to New York. And when I went into New York to pick it up, the woman was like, look, I want to show you this. Obviously, you purchased it. But if I open this bag here, my regular clients are going to freak out because they're going to be like, why didn't you get this for me? And I was just like, I don't care. Give it to me. Give it to me. I will run out of the store. Don't worry. I know it's going to be perfect. But yeah, there is such, you know, and I just feel like Chanel is that classic. What?
I would like to do a price comparison. What year was that?
Gosh, probably I had already met my husband, so probably like 2015.
Okay, that bag was probably what, 2000 or 2500 at the time?
Sorry, mom and dad. Yep.
Now I think that bag is probably 4500 if I'm not wrong.
So I know that too, you know, listen, I know we're here talking about beauty, but we're just taking a little diversion here. But you know, a lot of people now look at these Chanel bags, and I heard at one point in Japan, they were buying them as investments, and you could actually, please don't quote me on this, I read it somewhere on the interwebs, it could be wrong, but you could actually put down payments on houses with Chanel as collateral because they knew it was going to go up.
I mean, it's kind of like Bitcoin, right? Like when people got in the Bitcoin era, like I swear by bags is my Chanel bags that I have now, they've gone up in value. And even though I don't find this one specific bag, like it's not even a cute bag, it's just like this ugly red, I just can't get myself to sell it because I know how expensive it is.
How many do you have?
probably like 9.
Oh my God. Amazing, 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 amazing,
But you know,
amazing.
it's like when you are at Chanel, you can also do like friend swap because hey, like I would tell my friends, I'm like, I picked up this bag, I don't like it. Do you want to swap it with yours? And if they like it, then it's like an evening, like, you know, obviously you buy it
Oh
from
my
each other.
God.
Those things.
I'm sorry. We got to end this podcast right now because I'm going to go and bang on Chanel's door and be like, please let me work here. Okay. So now that we've gone down that, so what was it? Now I'm going to ask you, like, why would you leave what seems like a perfect job?
So I think it was perfect, right, to the outside eye. And like, it's so funny. I have to share this as well. When I changed my LinkedIn status, I had people literally that I have not even talked to since like college were like, hey, bestie, let's chat, let's hang out. I'm like, what is going on? I had like 500 people message me and I was like, it was all for Chanel bags. And even there were guys, they were like, hey, girl, can I get a bag from my mom? I'm like, it's not for your mom. We know who it's for. Like,
Yeah.
so the reason I left was because it was actually a sales job. It was corporate inside sales, managing retails. I really didn't, enjoy that role personally. That's not
Okay.
somewhere my expertise was. And I used to do M&A at L'Oreal. And when I found the job at Estee Lauder, which was very similar to, how you can grow. And again, like public companies are very different than private companies. You just have more autonomy on what you own and what you do and deliver and like how much you can grow in those roles. So that was really just my selfish interest from like a growth standpoint. I was like, okay, what do I do next?
Right.
I left. And I think by then I was like, I think I had like gotten over the glitz and glamour of the brand name.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, and you got those 9 bags that are going to be a
I
nice
had
little
to go back.
cushion if you ever need. Um, so then you went on to work for other companies, like you said, working for JLo Beauty. Like, what was that like with the celebrities? Did you get to meet them?
I did. Honestly, it was great because, obviously I can't share much, but when you work with celebrities, they all come with their own personalities. And I think
Yeah.
it's very similar to because when I did M&A, you work with a lot of founders. And I always try to remember those days. I'm like, now that I'm a founder, like there's certain ones that are amazing. And then there's certain ones that are just very difficult to work with.
Right.
Same goes with celebrities. I believe JLo is like amazing. She's sweet. She's really intelligent. She's very focused. But then there's also celebrities that I worked with that are difficult to work with, like difficult founders. So I think everyone has their own personality. You kind of see that on their social media or just their lives, and you hear that in press as well.
Right.
So yeah, I think it just teaches you a lot. And I think as a leader, in at least in that time when I was managing a large team, I was like, all right, these are the habits that are good and bad. And these are the ones I would like to instill in myself. And these are the ones I should remind myself that I should never be like them. So yeah, you kind of like take that as like a learning experience.
Listen, sometimes it's just as important to know what you don't want or don't want to be
I
as it is
totally
to figure out the things that you do. Okay. So we know that you have founded this, which is sort of surprising to me, this company for men after working in essentially, I know Kiehl's has some, obviously male focus line, but what made you decide to sort of go with like these traditionally, I would say, female companies, directed companies to go into creating a line of skincare for men?
Oh wow, a couple of reasons, right? And I'm going to be very candid about all those reasons, because obviously, like I think even customers can kind of smell the bullshit, right, from people.
Right.
So there are a couple of reasons. One thing for me was when I used to do strategy, and even this is an epiphany that I had in my last job was I have always followed the since P&G is doing Gillette. So Gillette back in the day was the razor company for males, females, everything. They dominated the market and nobody could crush them. Nobody could touch them. Then came Harry's and then came Dollar Shave Club. And these companies were so successful. So when I was a kid, then I was like, wow, how did they do that? It's like they were so untouchable. Like they completely blew them out of the water and now they made something big out of it. So I always had the curiosity mindset. So I started following the male market at that point. And
Okay.
when I say strategy, you pull global numbers and you're always like looking at where the next opportunity is. So female market, I mean, just to give you a number, we have about more than 130,000 beauty brands in the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
And only a very, very, very small handful is targeted towards men.
Right.
want to take a guess on just skincare? Let's just take take color out of this. If the skincare market is $160 billion globally, give me a wild guess. How big do you think men's is?
Like a 2 billion?
It's slightly more, but I think
Okay, right. Of 160, fine. I don't know, 10 billion. Well, what is it? I'm not,
very
you know.
close. Yeah. So it's less than 8%. So about 7%
Wow.
is geared towards men. Now, of that 7%, the 50% is in Asia.
Oh, okay.
So
So
as we
yeah,
know, Korean beauty does really well. China is already onto makeup. Japan is very open with that. So I feel like in the past few years, we have seen this era of beauty stemming from the East and now coming to the West. And
right.
we're just following that trend. So it's good so that was a very good learning for me from a numbers standpoint. The second thing, I actually had a cousin and a friend of mine, like when we were in high school and college, they had massive like acne issues and self-esteem issues. And
Yeah.
long story short, obviously, like it didn't end well. It actually ended pretty badly for the two guys in my life, at least my cousin and my friend. Um, there were suicides and it was due to like other mental health issues as well. But I think self-esteem when it comes to boys and this
Yeah.
generation is raising a very, very lonely set of guys now because social media, the pressure of like looking a certain way and having like so much money. So when you think about the dating pool, we're really raising a very lonely generation of men. And it's kind of sad, right? Like as females, we have makeup, red lipstick, spa, whatever, Botox, fillers, I don't name anything. It's females that are consuming that. But where do guys go? They just have shaving. So thank God for that. But that's the other reason I was like, you know what? I want to create something that men can also do. It's quick, it's simple. It's like a self-care system,
Yeah.
more than just the gym, more than just shaving, but it's going to have long-term benefits. And when they do it, they're going to have like a feel-good effect. Just it perks people up. So we have
Yeah.
studies on that where people are like, God, after using the skincare, my skin just feels so good and I actually feel really confident. I'm going on a date and I feel good about myself. Third thing is I'm actually improving the dating market for all the ladies out there because when you look at all the girls like walk into a bar, you're like, oh yeah, she's pretty, she's pretty, she's pretty. When you look at the guys, you're like, God, you guys are all below 5. What's wrong with you? Go wash your face. So that was the other thing. I'm like, all my friends, including myself, and we're in the dating pool. We're like, what is wrong with our men? Can you guys just please like clean up, fix up? Like you'll be a solid 7 if you
Yeah.
just
I feel like too, listen, there are fundamental differences between male skin and female skin, right? Different ways of sebum production. We actually have different needs. Forget about, shaving and hair growth and all of that stuff. But on the other hand, I've been married now for 10 years, and I feel like when I met my husband, he had a bar of soap and that was it. Working in beauty, I would see him kind of be like interested in trying creams and doing this. However, that said, you are right. There were very few lines that I felt, not that he couldn't use my products, but that also he felt like weren't so perfumey or didn't, feel like he was putting like a primer on his face. Like they want different things. Um,
absolutely.
and I have to say, so you've created a 4-step line here, which I love the packaging, very slick. Also, it's like so easy because sometimes it's like guys are like, what step do I do? What do I do? Tell us
Exactly.
a little bit about this.
So I'll start with why, right? Why, I mean, I'll get into the line after. I'll tell you why men even should use different products. And this is
Okay.
why I actually created this. So did a lot of studies. I actually vetted the market with real-time consumers to see like, okay, guys, men's skincare has been a topic of discussion, but you guys just don't use it. Like, why is that? So a couple of reasons. You're right. Perfume is one thing. They don't want to feel feminine because they're like, oh my God, if I use my girl's product, what if there's like color in it? Because like my
Right.
boyfriend would use my chapstick and he's like, you put lipstick on me. I'm like, no, it's chapstick, but it has like an undertone to it. So it's on you. And then their skin is actually 25 to 30% thicker than ours. Sucks because we have period and hormones. So our base is just thinner. So we need products that are more like, catering to our skin tone. And I have a very dry skin, so I need heavy moisturizer.
Right.
For guys, they have to do the opposite because you're right, they produce a lot more sebum, so their T-zone tends to be oily, but then the shave area where they have to grow hair is thicker, it's more prone to acne, and they're constantly shaving, so they have a lot of burns, and then they turn into acne. And then they also have a lot of blackheads and whiteheads around their nose area and like just this area. So they do need different products. And that's when I was like, you know what, if I create something, I want to make sure it is really specific to men's issues. So they actually, when they use the product, they instantly feel a difference.
Yeah.
So yeah, we can talk about the products. Take a guess where I got the inspiration for the packaging.
I do love it. Is it Chanel?
Very much so, right? Because Chanel blue kind of looks like
Oh,
that.
I don't know if you can see it on here, but it is. It's like a beautiful navy blue. And this is really good packaging. The airless pump packaging is very, very high quality. And I love that it's a 4-step line, right? Super easy. I can't wait for my husband to start using this. I was like, don't touch it until I have my podcast because it's all got to look neat and clean. But
you gotta
tonight,
tell me what he thinks because okay, tips and tricks, right? So why I did 4-step, because guys think 4-step is a lot for them.
Yeah.
And we are doing a 10-step skin routine.
Not happening. Happening.
So a couple of reasons. The packaging I chose because this is actually 65% recyclable. Pumps, unfortunately, at this time and age, are not there yet, but it is. We're trying to make it more sustainable with our next round. So this is an airless pump. It looks like a glass bottle, but it's not. However, the reason I chose the pumps was because when you think about a jar, and even as females, when we're like double dipping, because I like lather like all the moisturizer on my face as much as I can at night, and I'm double dipping. So you'll see like eyelash in there, or just like the grease from my face going back into the jar. And men are not as clean as we are.
No.
So they're just going double dipping deodorant and like hair care products and just touching the jar. So it gets contaminated. And that's why you tend to have breakouts after certain uses of the product. So I wanted to make sure it's a no touch. So number one it's actually made it's a fully vegan line. It's made in Los Angeles. It's created by dermatologists and 2 scientists. And, my baseline, I wanted to create something between a SkinCeuticals, but also affordable, but also effective for the male skin type. So I'm going to give you guys all the secrets and I'll tell you which ones the females should actually use.
Okay. Give it to me.
I love this. And you're probably going to finish your husband's half the products. But number one, so this is an exfoliating cleanser.
Okay.
So ladies and gents, if you're watching, never ever use those apricot, like crusty, scrubby scrubs ever. It's like literally rubbing your face against
sandpaper.
Carpet
or glass. Yeah, it is.
Right. It's so bad. And like, obviously it was marketed so well over the years, but it's really bad for you. So you want to use gentle cleansers that actually penetrate to inside your pores and cleans it inside out. So this has fruit acids. It has caffeine. And it helps you wake up and kind of like goes deep into your pores. I like to use number one 3 times a week as a female, but guys need to use it every day because they have thicker skin and they have a lot of oil. So it really goes deep into your pores to take out the gunk. And I like to use it in the shower because what happens, your pores open up with the warm water. So it really helps penetrate and clean. And you will see, like, if you do it before and after, if you just take a picture of yourself before the shower and then we come out, you're going to see an instant difference. Like your skin.
I love that.
Right. And clean, because especially the nose area, I tend to get like a lot of sebum there too sometimes after the gym. It's like crusty and that just really takes it out. So I love using that for that. Number 2, this is my holy grail and it's my baby. I love this so much. I take it like everywhere. I wear this like probably 2-3 times a day. Every time I wash my face, I love this. So this is our brightening serum. And if I were to say, it's basically a vegan plant-based version of the SkinCeuticals CE Ferulic.
Okay.
Oh, texture. It comes off clear. You don't have to worry about the whole sun thing getting ice because our packaging is dark. So that takes care of that. And then this one, so last year I had.
Can I just tell you too? Also, CE Ferulic, I know it's like a cult following, but it smells so disgusting to me. It is just a tough one. This smells really nice.
Yeah, it smells really nice. Our fragrance notes are citrus bergamot and lemon verbena. So we want to keep it really fresh. So think about, a lemon garden in Capri. So it kind of smells like and
But
citrus.
manly, like fresh but manly.
Yeah, exactly. We want to keep it a little bit more like neutral. So it's not like a whiff of like fragrance on your face. So our fragrance percentages are obviously recommended by dermatologists. So they wanted to keep it like very like simple, soft, gentle notes.
Right. And then we've got 3, which is a moisturizer.
Yeah. So the moisturizer, it's really, I love this for men. I don't really use my moisturizer so much. I use it like if you have air in this. So yeah, keep going.
You know, I told you I was like, don't touch it. I was not allowing him to use it until we shot our thing.
So what I love about this moisturizer, this one actually has hyaluronic acid in the moisturizer. So
Okay.
it is made out of ceramides, hyaluronic acid,
Beautiful.
and barley extract. So barley extract is very different, which is not in a lot of moisturizers. It helps with, it reduces your razor burn stinging, and it has anti-aging benefits. So overall, it really helps minimize the age and prevents the UV damage that's already been caused, just being outside daily. And
Is there any SPF in that? No, right? No SPF.
no, not
Okay.
yet. We did launch
Okay.
an SPF for starters because, just
It's
it
hard.
is
So
a,
it's hard. Yeah. It's tough to get that SPF. And then we've got this, which is so cool. Why don't they make this for women? I don't see any company like this with these like little roller
oh,
balls for the eye.
the trick is I actually love this for myself as well because this is a unisex product. This is an amazing eye cream. The packaging is patented, so you won't see
Okay.
a lot of that anywhere. It has the roller balls are patented, and this one has vitamin E, caffeine, and the secret ingredient, which is Revenage. It's a plant-based retinol. So that
Beautiful.
actually helps, the whole effect of like anti-aging, saggy skin. It has ginger and quinoa extract that helps with reducing the eye bags. And then the Frescolet, which is a plant-based, kind of like a menthol, so it kind of cools everything around the eye area. And what I love to do with this product, I use it every single day. I put it in the fridge at night.
Oh, nice.
It gives me this like really amazing cooling massage. And then this is an amazing, amazing base for your foundation and your concealer.
Oh, nice. But you know what? Listen, I'm also going to stand in here and just say, okay, so we know that the women can use them, but let the guys have their own thing.
Exactly.
I don't know. I kind of am like, I found, and listen, everybody's different, but I found in my household, like my husband wants his own set of products. He does not want to be using my stuff. And some of that is smart because, like you said, you don't want to be sharing, cross-contaminating
That I agree with. But I'm
stuff.
also of the belief now that I'm like, you know what, ladies, men, you have been stealing our products for
They
decades
have.
now. And especially when I'm traveling, I would like use my boyfriend's eye cream. I'm like, oh my God, I forgot mine. Even though I have it, I'm like, I just need this for my concealer. So I
Yeah.
just like that. And I was like, why wouldn't I use your product? You can replenish instead of me. So
Well, this is awesome. So now, all of this can be bought where?
So all of this is available on Amazon and my website. Prefer that you buy from our website because then you get a discount on your subscriptions. And also we have a code right now. We're giving 25% off, and the code is buy now. Just one word,
Amazing.
buy NOW.
And then it comes in, you get this like nice travel case,
Exactly.
which is
So
so great.
for guys, it's like great. We wanted to create that bag because it's a leather case and you can put all your other like shaving kits, your toiletries, deodorants, all of that into the same kit and it's also TSA friendly. So
Yes.
you don't need to check your bags in.
This is great because I'm about to head on vacation. So for people who are interested in this, what is the website where they should go?
So the website is ELVY Lab singular LAB.com. It's basically the brand name, LVLab.com.
Now I have to ask, like, are there any plans for you, depending on how this goes, to maybe branch off and do some women's products, or are you sticking with the boys?
So I think for us, we want to create a line. So the idea is to like kind of keep it catered to men, right?
Yeah.
So down the line, we'll do more stuff. But the next product that we are working on, there's two things. One is the SPF.
Okay.
And that's going to be a spray because I cannot imagine a man trying to apply number 5.
That's amazing. You're so
And then,
smart, right? Yeah. Like I
and
don't want
then,
to.
yeah, I want to use it on top of my makeup
Yeah.
because the reapplication is still an issue for all of us, right? So I think
Yes.
that would be ideal for
Brilliant.
us. That's where we're.
Brilliant.
The other thing, which it's a secret, but I'll share it, it's hair technology. So over the years, and especially when I was living in California, something about California water, I have lost so much hair. Like, I don't know if you can see, but I'm like
No, I mean,
losing
your hair looks amazing.
up, but it's like thinned out. And I think a lot, my cousins, my whole family, they're going through the same issue. Anyone in LA is losing massive amounts of hair. I think it's the water because it's hard water.
Yeah.
There's no filtration system in the showers. So I always recommend people use filters. Obviously, make sure you take care of your hair. So we're trying to create a hair technology, and that will probably be patented, but that will open our doors for a more unisex market. So females and males can use that. So that is under construction. So that will come out sometime next year.
Amazing. I want to thank you so much for being on here. By the way, I will just throw this out there too. I think that, men are like, it's iffy on using anything tinted. That said, I'm finding that more men are looking for something under their eyes, to cover, but that doesn't feel like makeup. So just throwing that out there, you might want to explore that.
Oh, that's been in our development process, but I wanted to get them on the eye cream first. So at least start that, so you can at least, even that is hard for guys to use. So I'm just like, ladies, please get your man on the eye, because that's the first thing we notice when it comes to aging. It's people's eyes. And especially on Zoom, attention is on the face.
You have given us so many great tips, tricks. I loved being able to share your history. If people want to reach out to you, of course, go to elvylab.com. Yeah. You can buy the products. They're also available on Amazon, but if you use the buy now, you can get 25% off. I want to thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you. And guys, follow us on Instagram as well. And if you have any questions, you will see my handle when you follow ELVY Lab on Instagram. I'll pop up at the bottom as well. So feel free to ask me any questions directly, and I always answer all my DMs.
Amazing. I will make sure to include all that information in the show notes. And of course, if you have any questions you want me to pass on to their team, I'm happy to do that. You can email me at hello@artbeautypodcast.com. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Art Beauty Podcast. And as always, we will see you next Tuesday. Hopefully your guys, or the guys in your life, will be looking a little bit better. Bye.
Thanks, Amber.